Welcome to the Shielded Prepper. Today you're doing a supply run with me. And while we drive, I have an awesome prepping tip for you that costs nothing. Yet it gains you an invaluable piece of information. Who loves great information that's free? Well, here it goes while we drive. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the road. I'm okay. I'm watching good. So I was thinking this morning when I woke up and identifying what I intend on sharing with you. And what I intend on sharing with you is quite important. Okay, here's what it is. A couple weeks ago, we saw a massive winter storm just bury Buffalo and parts of New York, and on the eastern side of the Great Lakes was just hammered with so much snow that even an area that gets big snow, it shut them down. It shut them down. And dozens, I don't know the actual number, I remember hearing that it was dozens of people died in their vehicles by asphyxiation, or they froze to death. So a fancy word, asphyxiation, means that they suffocated. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Or they froze in their cars. Here's what we also know. That there is an equation that, if you remember this equation, and it actually is quite simple, that it could save your life. Here we go. We're in Washington State, and Washington State has an awesome climate. In the wintertime, it does snow, often depending on where you're at in Washington and your elevation, altitude. You get more snow, yet where we're at, we don't get tremendous. Yet what if we had one of those fluke storms that just pounded our area or your area? If we did, this is what I desire to share with you, and why it's important to keep your fuel in your vehicle full as much as possible, especially in the wintertime. Don't let it go below a half a tank. Just pretend you only had a half a tank and you're filling it up from empty. It makes it easy. So here it is. How long will my vehicle run in an SHTF situation? We'll call it a snowstorm. We'll call it an earthquake. Something that stops our ability to move, and if we're stranded. That's why it's important to have a go bag and some supplies in our vehicles, right? Absolutely. So how long will my car? So I'm in a Ford Expedition with a 5.4 liter V8 engine. I've got a 28 gallon fuel capacity in this vehicle. And how long would that last? Well, it's a simple equation. Here we go. So you'll have to understand, in fuel-injected vehicles are kind of the base, so we're just going to use fuel-injected vehicles, which are modern. They're slightly different for carbureted, yet we're using fuel-injected for right now. So we're currently riding in a 5.4 liter V8 engine. The way that you do it is you take the liters of the engine, which is its idling consumption per hour. So in this case, we have to know liters, or how many our tank is. So the equation, so at 28 gallons, here's how many liters we have. And I did the math before we jumped on. It's 3.28 liters per gallon. And if we multiplied that 28, it comes up with 106 liters. We know that we have 106 liters, and we have an engine that consumes 5.4 liters times 0.06. That's the number you have to know, 0.06, and you have to use it. It's exactly the calculations, and this is from manufacturer information. So we're going to take 5.4 liters, is what my engine is, and we're going to multiply it times 0.06, and that comes up to 3.25 liters per hour idling. Well, if I had a full tank of gas, and our tank has the capacity of 106 liters, That means that if I divide that 3.25 liters into 106, I have a maximum idling time of 32 hours on a full tank of gas. If I just came right out of the fuel station, we had a massive issue, I would run for 32 hours. Now, most of us don't do that. If you have half a tank, cut it in half, 16 hours. If you have a quarter tank, cut it in half, it's 8 hours. Now, obviously, there's ways to stretch that, not running it all the time, which is important. And if it's cold, like it was in Buffalo, I mean, they froze to death in their cars. So what, you start it up every 30 minutes or 20 minutes and you freeze for a little bit and get warm for a little bit. So here's how we have to think about this. Our vehicles are a tool for survival. Just like our food preps, just like our water preps, just like our security, our cordless hole punchers. Put in the comments if you know what a cordless hole puncher is. All that to say, I would like to really encourage you, do the math. Figure out how many, what the capacity of your engine is. It might be a 2 liter, 2.5 liter, or even a 1 liter, just a small little Oompa Loompa car, which is great. You're going to get a lot of run time. Some of those smaller vehicles that are single liter engines, you know, that have a 14-gallon gas, I mean, they can run for 2 days straight, idling. Save your life. Do the math. Figure out what yours is, and don't allow your fuel tank to go less than half. There's preparedness even in our vehicle's fuel. We never know. And remember, oftentimes we're prepping and preparing not just for us and our families, rather for others too. So as we think about these things, share them. Tell people how to think about those. This could save your life. Thank you for listening to The Shielded Prepper. It's been a privilege and an honor to encourage you today. Have an awesome one. Until next time.